And welcome to your City of San Juan City Commission meeting. We will call this meeting to order at 6:02. If we could please all rise for an invocation. Counselor, could you please lead us in the invocation?
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem. If everyone will bow their head. Lord, we come before you and we thank you for all the blessings you have bestowed upon us. At this time, I offer up this commission and that you provide them with continued wisdom and guidance to lead the city of San Juan. I also offer up and pray for the community who have had a lot of rain and that have had damage at their homes. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen. Amen. Commissioner Cantu, could you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Sandra, do we have any public comments? Okay, having no public comments at this time, we'll move forward into discussion possible action on the following matters. Roman numeral 5, presentations. Chief?
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem Commission. We do have County Commissioner Eddie Cantu here present. Would like to present on the project and that we have a joining effort with them and give us a progress on those projects. Commissioner?
Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, Chief. Just an update. As everybody knows, the limits that were described in the Cesar Chavez Road project have been complete. That was complete last year, as also the road project at Moore Road, or the limits there at Moore Road. On Sioux Road, we went out for bids and we advertised on this project on 6/6/2015, so just this past week. And we have to bid it twice. We're going to bid on the 13th also. We'll have a pre-bid conference on 6/15, June 15th. We'll have openings on June 24th. And then the estimated for contract award and approval is July 8th. Pre-construction on the 10th, and then we'll move forward from then. Hoping to complete that project within 2 months. We're going to do everything possible to talk to the contractor to see if we can work in front of IDEA, since it's the school located on that road, and see if we can maybe work from east to west and take care of the school before school starts. That's kind of been our goal, is trying to get the projects done that are affecting schools. On Eldora Road, we have a portion of Eldora that's in front of some schools. It's not in that bad of condition, so we're going to take that on as soon as we finish Nolana Road, which I'll get to in a second, and we're going to do a basic overlay in that section. The part that everybody knows that's in very bad condition is from Raul Longoria to I Road, and what we're going to do is get our people from the county to design that, put that out for bids like we did on Sioux Road, and have that done as soon as possible. The staff that the county has to design projects, it's a very limited staff. It's not set up to necessarily put a bunch of roads out for construction. That's why we use consultants. And in this case, we're moving as fast as we can, and we'll have Eldora designed, which it's in the process of being designed as we speak. As soon as that is completed and everything is, hi Mayor.
How you doing, sir?
How are you? As soon as those plans are ready to be bid out, we'll put them on the just like we did on Sioux Road, and we'll have that moved forward in a timely manner. But our biggest concern, obviously, is the schools on Eldora, and we'll have that project done before school starts. The last project on the list, but it's a project that we're currently working on, is Nolana between Raul Longoria and Cesar Chavez. The project has begun and is being performed in-house by our staff. We've completed most of the drainage improvements. The bar ditches are 90% complete. We had a culvert to install, that's complete. One inlet and a safety end treatment installation is pending. That's really all we have with respect to drainage. And we've had major repairs to the drainage outfall have been completed. And so right now we're just working on the road improvements. We've been delayed a little bit on the drainage part of it, but we've started recycling the road. We're 20% finished recycling on the road, and weather permitting, we should be done, I would say mid-July at the latest. And from there, we'll jump over to, I was telling the mayor that we'll jump over from, once we complete Nolana, we'll go over to Eldora. And the part that's in front of the schools, it's not in that bad of a shape, but it has those potholes in the middle of the road. Mm-hmm. So we'll go and do a basic overlay like we've done before. And so that part from Raul Longoria east will be done. Wherever we need repairs, we'll do some overlays there. The biggest need is, west of Raul Longoria. And what we're going to do is we're going to design that just like we did Sioux Road, design it in-house through the county, which, for y'all to understand, the county is very limited in what it has in terms of designing it. That's why a lot of, we use consultants all the time. And so we basically have one person on staff that draws these plans. And so that's what takes so long. But in this case, we're only going to draw plans from Raul Longoria to I-Road. And as soon as we have that, we'll take it through the bid process like that was described on the Sioux Road project that we talked about a little bit earlier. That one, because of the process, the lengthy process that the county, like the city has, we should start construction mid-July. And so what I was telling them is...
For Sioux Road?
Yes, ma'am. And that's going to be through an outside contractor because the condition of that road is something that we have more confidence that an outside contractor do the work for that road. Just like the portion from I-Road to Raul Longoria on Eldora. Both in very bad shape, and it's easier for us to do basic overlays. The work we're doing on Nolana is significant work like Sioux and Eldora, but since it doesn't have that much traffic, we went ahead and took that upon ourselves to complete. So like I was saying, we have most of the drainage done, started tearing up the road to reconstruct it, and we should be out of there at the very latest mid-July. But luckily, we don't have a lot of traffic, and we're trying to control traffic there, trying to get people to the CRC and out.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes,
While it's not part of these road work that we're looking at, the part of Sioux Road that belongs to the county from Retama to Cesar Chavez, are you all planning to do something there as well?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when this interlocal was put together, it wasn't taken into consideration. But having driven it and having communication from the people out in that area, you've seen it, it's in a horrible condition. So what we're planning to do is when we get a contractor on board, let them know about that piece and have them also bid on that additional work. But we're hoping to do that through that same contractor when the Sioux Road part gets bid out.
And on, we've agreed on the Cesar Chavez project,
yes,
and we've got a few areas that are pretty bad as well. Is there anything that we can work together with you in those?
I'm always
some
willing
of those
to work
areas?
with you.
Because the waiting is what, 2-3 years from now?
Oh yeah. Well, look at it. Just identify the areas that
yes.
we need at, and we'll put something together. And hopefully, it's in a condition where we could just do a basic overlay.
Yeah.
Those are inexpensive, easy to do. We're in and out pretty quickly, and we're here to work with y'all and try to see what we can do. I just want to introduce a couple of my staff members that help me in the maintenance department. They basically lead the maintenance department. They're the people that work with your staff in terms of emergency responses, the road projects, and we have head of maintenance is Armando Pompa, and his main man, his right hand, Jorge Hinojosa, and they worked with your staff before, and they're always talking to each other and seeing how they can help each other out. But we're here to work with you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
On the presentation and update on the water plant number 2, Mr. Cruz.
Mayor, Commissioners, in your package you'll see my memo, the status report as of June 5th. I'll go to number 5 and number 6 on the project schedule, which we're at 50% at this point. The total contract to support $8.343 million. Amount billed to date is $2 $2,434,222. Application number 4 has been submitted, which it is in the process for payment for $577,000.
That's because of the work that has been completed?
Yes. That's work that's been completed through probably April, at least April. The next monthly meeting is scheduled for June the 12th at 10 o'clock at the water treatment plant.
How did the last one go?
Went real good. Actually, as of the work update, things have started again. After the meeting, that meeting we had here, that city commission meeting when nothing was going on, the next day, everybody was there.
Good.
So, and they've been working every day, and actually, they were going to pour the concrete this morning for the clear well, which would have been a big advancement, but it got a lot of rain out there. And I don't know what kind of delay it is because it's never been that bad as it was today out there. But the chemical building is under construction. They started, the masons showed up. They started putting up the wall. They're 80% complete. The clear well, all the piping is in. The underground piping, approximately 20 linear feet of the filter and waste line has been installed. So everything started to work until today. For the last 2 weeks, they've been working every day and getting things done. And it looks like we did get some correspondence from some people that everything has been paid and they're proceeding with the project. So,
All the subcontractors are back on board
and the suppliers. I mean, that's what the letters we got, that everything's back, hopefully. But, so we feel that we're in a good position right now, that the project is proceeding now. If you have any questions. But the projected work, of course, is finishing the chemical building, which is very close to being finished. The clear well, the installation of plastic liner material, which was in, and the foundation was going to be poured today. I'll have a next status. I'll have when it'll be, hopefully it'll be done by the next meeting. The delivery of the filters and clear well structure is what is very crucial to this project, that they cannot be delivered until the foundation is poured for the clear well, because it's going to come together. The filters and the clear well come with from CBI together to do the final installation. So that's going to be delayed until it's poured now. And of course, all the installation of underground piping is going to continue. That's all I have.
Any questions for Mr. Cruz? Thank you, sir. A presentation on departmental reports. Chief Gonzalez.
Mr. Mayor, Commission, you have several reports there before you. I just want to touch real quick on two departments. First of all, on the Parks and Recreation Department, I just want to follow up at the request of the Commission that we did have a town hall meeting, and although we have an action plan that has been implemented, and that action plan is going to be reviewed by me on a weekly basis, and I have been doing that. So we're going to see how we progress on some of the recommendations that were made during that town hall meeting. And the second one is the Planning and Zoning Department. We're working with them, with the Police Department. Every so many years, the Police Department has to be engaged in a community project or crime prevention project, utilizing some massive forfeiture funds. So the operation that we've engaged with them is the Operation Crackdown, similar to what Laredo did, demolishing old abandoned houses and buildings that are a nuisance to the community, but also invite crime, such as different crimes that we've seen. And so we're working with them, and we're also working with our legal department to make sure we do everything that needs to be done, and probably get consent from the owners to demolish those properties. All the properties that we're looking at, between more or less, we identified about 16 already in the city of San Juan that been abandoned for about 5 years already or more, probably more than that, being set on fire, some of the houses used for different crimes. So I think that it's a good project. We set aside some money allocated for it, but it might not cost us anything, because we might, partner up with our Planning and Zoning Department and other departments that can help us out with that. So we should be starting that probably July 1st is the projected date. So hopefully you start seeing some of the houses being removed. The neighbors are asking for a lot of help on that, and we are looking at that.
Chief, just the county's currently doing something similar to that, and just share with you some of what they're doing on those that have kind of helped the process along. But for example, we're starting with the tax foreclosures. Since on the tax foreclosures, typically it's the county or one of the local entities that hold it. It's usually easier to get approval to demolish, a dilapidated structure that's on a property that's under tax foreclosure. The other one that we've gone after that is bank foreclosures. Usually a bank, if it is a dilapidated building, mind you, not a nice house, but a dilapidated building, they will give you authorization for the demolition because it, in essence, improves the quality of the resale value of the property. The other thing is that we're working with two different house movers. If the home is a wood frame home on pier and beam, we have there's two house movers that will come and remove the building at no cost. They'll just come and take the building. There's typically some additional cleanup that's needed after the fact, but the bulk of it is removed by the house movers. And so, I'd be happy to share more of that information with you to help in that process, because I think it's important, as a safety feature, not only because of the crime it invites, but also right now with the weather we've been having, there's also all kinds of creatures that can collect in abandoned homes that are a safety hazard to the citizens as well.
Member Tem, and I'm glad you brought that up because we do have some calls already that have been forwarded to us. There's some mobile homes out there that need to be moved, so maybe we can work with that, Mr. Cervantes, and check on that. I think that the main focus also is to make sure that our residents understand that not to allow their houses to get to that point. But I think that on the crime prevention side, in order for us to get involved or be part of a project like that, there has to be a nexus to a crime, or that we believe a crime is going to be committed if we allow that to continue. So, well, I'll keep you posted, Mayor, Commissioner. I'll keep you posted as how we're doing and how far the progress on that project.
Chief Gonzalez, what about the businesses, for example, the shed that's right by Railroad Street and South Nebraska? Would that qualify?
That is part of it. That's one of the warehouses that we're looking at as well. And I think that the biggest problem that we're having right now is that we are unable to locate some of the owners of those properties. So we are advertising already. I believe this week we're doing some advertisement, and we're doing some other legwork. Our crime prevention officers are trying to reach out to other sources that we can probably find some owners of properties, and also going house by house, next door, to see if any of the neighbors know these people. So, because that is a priority for us as well. The businesses have been allowed to that, and some of the businesses have been used for criminal activity and used as stash houses as well. So for drug and human smuggling. So those are the major crimes that we're looking at.
Have you made any contact with any of the property owners?
We have. Our officers have been out there. I have two officers that have been assigned to that already, and this week they started doing that, and they have made contact with some owners. And we have some owners already that they're willing for us to demolish the property for them already. But we want to make sure that through legal, we do it the right way. We don't want them to come back and say, well, I could have saved that property. I could have saved that building. We have one or two owners already telling us that they can save the property, but those properties are nowhere. They've been deemed already by court enforcement as unsafe. But it's like anything else. We understand the value of the homeowners, that they feel they have value for the property. But I think that going through legal and going through all the right methods, we'd be able to demolish some of those properties.
So the 16 that you have identified, are those through voluntary? Are you doing the voluntary tear down first, or you're just going to do clearance as well?
No, those 16 are the ones that the code enforcement has identified, and we have identified the properties that need to be, looked at and demolished. And the voluntary ones are one or two out of those 16 that the owners have said, I'm okay with it. But it's part of that.
What's the process?
We haven't get any resistance on that.
Counsel, what's the process as far as if it gets triggered and they're not in foreclosure mode? How do we, and I think the other thing too, one if they haven't gone through the foreclosure, and the other is how long do we hold the property when taxes haven't been paid before we actually get the folks to begin the foreclosure process?
Well, I would have to defer to tax counsel on that. I know I've had discussions with him, and I know that I've discussed it with Mr. Cervantes. They have to get to a certain amount of money before they actually take action to foreclose on that property, and I'm not sure what that minimum balance is before they invest the time to go after the property. As far as the procedure in the city to start demolishing some of these properties, there's a Supreme Court case that just came out in 2012 that I need to review, but the gist of it is go through the court system, file a lawsuit. So we would file a lawsuit basically saying that the property needs to be demolished, that it's a hazard to the community, and then allow the judge to give us a judgment in that effect, to that effect, and we would have the judgment signed by the court, and then we would be able to start demolishing it in that respect. And I think in the discussions I've had with Mr. Cervantes, it was last Friday, a lot of these people or individuals are not responding. So I believe what's going to end up happening is we're going to get a bunch of default judgments where we will have to advertise in the newspaper. Of course, we'd have to attempt service like the city has done right now. And then as soon as that does not work, we would have to go to the court and explain it didn't work. They would allow us to advertise in the newspaper saying that if they don't respond, we'll take a default judgment against them. At that point, we're looking probably about 60 days. By the time everything happens, we'd get a default judgment, and then we would come back to the city and give it to the chief and allow him to go from there.
So of these 16 properties, are you aware if they are actually paying on their taxes? They just haven't taken care of the property?
No, we haven't gotten to that point. I have not looked into that, if they've paid the taxes or not.
Because would it be a better way to take it through the foreclosure than to try to sue them in court?
We could definitely look into that. But if they're in this bad of a condition, it's taken a number of years. I don't know why the foreclosure process hasn't taken care of it.
Right, exactly.
I don't know if maybe they're paying the taxes, and they just left the home there. I'm not too sure. I don't think that'd be the case because they're not even responding to the city. Whenever all the certified letters came back to Mr. Cervantes, he was showing me a couple of them.
Because I think the point that the Mayor Pro Tems makes of that gap where it now belongs to the taxing entities for liability purposes would make it cleaner.
Yes.
Than having to be filing individual lawsuits against 16 people, some actually dragging it later, and the cost is going to go to defend that. But if you throw it into foreclosure because they haven't responded, I think maybe that would be the route and the protection for the city so that we can maybe avoid being caught in litigation for years. And if the foreclosure process hasn't been started and it meets the criteria, or they haven't paid taxes for a while because they're not living there, they're not paying, I think that might be a safer route. Can we do an evaluation of that? Can we come find out how many years those have been let go and find out what the criteria would be so that maybe we can go through that process quicker?
We can. I just don't think I don't think the taxing foreclosure would be quicker than our default judgment. But I mean, we'll look at both options and see. I believe it'd be a lot cleaner through the foreclosure process for the taxes, but it won't be as quick as our default judgment process. But I mean, I'll go ahead and look at both and see what we can do. And again, I don't know why the taxing entities haven't gone after them already if they're this bad. I mean, I saw the pictures of the homes. If it took that long and taxes have not been paid, I'm assuming they're way beyond, I don't know, thousands and thousands.
Right. And I think the thing is, because if we sue, we're going to also have to serve on the other taxing entities as well, because this is a property that has interest because they've got taxes that are delayed. So we're going to drag in the county, we're going to drag in the school district, and the same taxpayers are going to be paying for the litigation for all those entities. So can we look at that in that light, if it can be a more cost-effective for our taxpayers, so not having to have all these entities brought into a lawsuit?
I mean, we will discuss it with the taxing entities, and if that's the best option, we can present it to both options to the city commission, and we can see where we can go from there, because we haven't done that, right, Mr. Cervantes? So we'll.
And I think that the best option is going to be, Mayor, is that consent to demolish from the homeowners. So
Well,
getting
that's
legal
the
document.
obvious.
Yes, yeah,
That's
and
the
I think
obvious.
that's once we reach out to them. So
Get
If-
those,
yeah.
those done first, but then the
Yeah.
ones that we don't have any contact from the owners,
Yeah.
I think we need.
It's
to-
been over 5 years since we had any contact with any of the property owners. Commissioner?
Yeah, I think it'd be nice to have once we get it all figured out, have a protocol so that we're all on the same page on how we're gonna approach this. And also, whenever, to the couple of people that you do have consent from, are there forms filled out and everything like that as well?
Yes, sir, Commissioner. That's what we're gonna do with the legal department to make sure we do it. This is something that has been done only, I believe, twice. This idea was gathered through the city of Laredo. They did it with the military task force, drug task force, and they went and demolished a lot of homes through the city of Laredo. So that's why we're bringing it down here, because I think it was a very successful project they did out there. And, just making sure that our communities are safe and
Absolutely.
and hold those property owners accountable. Okay.
I think it's a very good idea, Chief. Thank you. Any other questions? Not moving on under public hearing. A, hold a public hearing and consider ordinance for the rezoning request from the multifamily residential district to general business district at a property legally described as the east 198.38 feet of 1.14 acre tract of land out of Lot 3 division, located approximately 250 feet east of Veterans Boulevard along the south side of First Street as requested by Alberto Trevino. Mr.
Yes,
Cervantes.
Mayor, City Commission, good evening. Mr. Trevino is proposing to rezone a portion of his property from multifamily residence district to general business district in order to build a commercial development. If the rezoning is approved, he's proposing to build a commercial plaza with a restaurant in the property. Mr. Trevino will be required to subdivide the property in order to undertake any improvements. The property is 448.38 feet in length along First Street, and the west 250 feet is already zoned commercial. The applicant needs for the entire property to be zoned commercial in order to undertake the project. Staff recommends approval based on the fact that the property has frontage along First Street. First Street, as you know, is a 4-lane collector roadway at the site there. Planning and Zoning Commission met on June 4th and recommended approval unanimously with a 5-0 vote.
I'd like to go ahead and open this public hearing at 6:28. Are there any comments from the public for or against? Any comments from the public for or against? Any questions from the commission?
Mr. Cervantes, have they, and I was looking on here, if this were to be approved, how quickly, because I know they talked about proposed construction, have they talked about how quickly they would be moving forward with construction?
I think that's a question for Mr. Gutierrez, so I'll have him answer.
Good evening. My name is Ramiro Gutierrez with our Gutierrez Engineering Corporation, and we're the engineers for Mr. Trevino. And the design for the buildings and for the plaza is already done, so, and they're already looking at getting prices, so they plan to move on construction pretty quick.
Let me ask you a question, Mr. Cervantes. Thank you, Mr. Gutierrez. The property then, the yellow side on the east side goes all the way to the parking lot of the, or the parking area of the clinic? Is that the only part that's left?
Yeah, there was an encroachment, right, of the parking on this property?
Yes. Yes, the property on the east side, they built into this property.
Goodness.
And so that, we're gonna go back and put the property line where it should be, or the boundary line.
So it's gonna go all the way up to the clinic's property line, is what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All of it will now be encompassed as commercial?
Right.
Okay. All right. And for the kind of, I know it's kind of narrow, but for the kind of building that it's going to be and the plaza, it's a pretty narrow area. They'll have enough to house enough parking spaces, so they're not parking along the streets, or?
I brought this sketch. I don't know if you can make it out. I need to get closer, but
Bring it a little bit closer if you don't mind.
this is First Street right here. This is High Road.
Yes.
And he's gonna have, well, this is High Road. He's gonna have a restaurant up front,
Okay.
and then have a building here with six units, and then another building here with 3 units, and we got parking all over.
So it's gonna have two entrances, right? On two entrances on First Street? Okay. And how far is that first entrance from Veterans Road?
9
Very good. Are there any questions? I'd like to go ahead and close the public hearing at 6:31. Is there a motion for approval as presented?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Cervantes. Thank you, Mr. Gutierrez. Under contracts, A, consider approving the drainage project for relief flooding of Valpaseo de las Flores Phase 1, Phase 2, and proposal police building station. Chief Gonzalez.
Yes, Mayor, Commissioners, this is based on our conversation we had since last year, this is something that we need to look at. I did meet with the architect from the police department, and in order for us to proceed on that, one of the things that we talked about, the fact that, and I think our engineer have mentioned the fact that we cannot have one without the other, and in this case, as to, he's working on the building already, the architecture of the building, so he's probably gonna have his done by probably sometime in the next couple of months as to what we're gonna be doing, and he's gonna be meeting with our staff, and it's something that I got with Ronnie as well as to how soon we're gonna be able to do this. I know that we're gonna have some meeting with Mr. Chris Vela, hopefully at the end of the month, to see where we are with the proposed project that we have in place. So this is something that obviously it's obvious that we've seen a lot of problems in that area. Right now, we're in the process of we expect more rain, but I think that right now we have our streets and alleys department and also our utilities department making sure that we clear that area because it's becoming an issue there, and it's a constant. Any minimal amount of rain is affecting us there.
And Chief, here, are we doing this because we're trying to put those two infrastructures together, or are we just talking about the one we approved already?
On the Florida subdivision, that's something that the police department cannot move forward without having this in place. And we need to have something in place as to, according to the architects, we can move forward on the police department.
Okay, so are we doing two things here? Are we looking at two things that we're doing, approving for the infrastructure on the police, is what I'm saying? Or or are you just doing Las Flores?
No, the infrastructure is for the police department as well. Yes.
Right, so it's going to be combined.
Yes, it's gonna affect the police department building.
Right, so the 900,000 and plus that Mr. Cruz has proposed was the cost that we have approved for the funding. Is that also part of what was included for the infrastructure at the police department? Is that what you did?
Mayor, it's for a trunk line.
Right.
Until the architect decides of how he's gonna do his drainage and his parking, but they'll be able to tie in. So it's like putting a main line, then you tie into it, whatever.
Okay, so we're doing the main line for the neighborhood, but making it accessible when the drainage for the infrastructure.
Exactly.
And so when we do that installation, is that going to be strictly done with the monies that we've approved already, or is there going to be, because it's also assisting the police department, are going to be able to, Chief, defray some of that cost with the forfeiture money?
Yes, I do not foresee us utilizing any asset forfeiture money for that, Mayor.
And not in this part?
Yes, not in this part. It's going to be the city's project. Nothing, no asset forfeiture money for this.
From where this comes up to?
Yes, that
so
is correct.
Is this only coming up to, Mr. Cruz, to the property line of the 11 acres? It's not going into the 11 acres?
It's going through it.
Can you go ahead and tell me what it is that we're going to be doing for Las Flores and what's for the police?
Do you remember this map at the workshop we had? What we're going to do is we're going to redo this.
Right.
And then go through the property.
Okay.
And then bring it around to the drain.
Okay, and all that is going to be right now for the subdivision, correct?
Exactly.
Okay.
To take care of all the subdivision and then any future here, by the way, also. So you're setting up yourself for the future, but you still need to do something for the area and for the subdivision.
Okay. And then so when we get the infrastructure design for the police department, then we're going to be able to tie into that.
Right. Whatever he does, there's going to be a line right there that can tie in. And any other future, not only the police station, whatever else you all decide to put in there, fire stations or whatever, baseball parks or whatever. You'll all also, there'll be enough drainage capacity to take care of the whole area, including the Pasada Las Flores 1 and 2.
And can you explain to me, Mr. Cruz, when you had first looked at it and we had given a proposal for the CDBG money, you had initially quoted 230-something thousand?
That was just another crossing,
Okay.
just to relieve this box that was here. And that was probably about 5 years ago. I think it was the first time we tried to do just another crossing here and try to relieve that as a temporary. But, you know, this line here is also small. Like I say, for some reason, from here on, it's 54 inches, but from here this way, it's only 36.
So the bypass, though, is going to clear up for anything else that we have in development.
Right. If you develop here, we'll use this drainage. You develop here, you have this drainage.
So what you were proposing was just a
Yeah,
somewhat relief, just to see if it
here,
worked.
that's it. Yeah,
Okay.
and it would have done nothing for these intersections or anything here. It would have just relieve it from that box that was there that was too small. The crossing was too small. And you know, we had another project, if you saw, it was phase option 1. This happened to be option 2, was to come around this way.
Right.
To this. And what we're afraid of here, because they went at an angle,
Right.
crossing the canal, that, I mean, we don't know if we'll be able to cross it there anyway, so. And it opens up your drainage for the other areas anyway. And then you take off all this from this system, so now it should relieve this, which is also over here, Dominique and all that area. Because it's taken off all of this big area here.
Very good. And let me ask you a question, Chief. I know that we're looking at this one because we're also thinking about what we're going to be doing on the property. Now, it was my understanding from Mr. Vela that by the time that the underwriting has been done on the bond, on the certificates of obligation, he projected a November date. Is that still a November date?
That is correct.
And that would be for the full amount of the 4.2 million, correct?
That is correct. That is correct.
So, and I know that these folks definitely need it because we've seen it in the rains. And are we going to be also doing this with Las Brechas, because they're just as well as the...
Yeah, Las Brechas came up, and I know the chief and I have spoken about it through the commission, that I think we have a plan for Las Brechas, and looking into it, but I think I have some questions that I would like to address to you all, because Las Brechas is a little different because we're going to have to go through a paved street to do it, which is Sergeant Trevino. So at that point, once we do it, what are we going to do with Sergeant Trevino? Are we just going to patch it? Are we going to widen it to that point up to where we go Las Brechas and the other subdivision to the east? I drew something real quick here right before this meeting.
I guess we don't have it on the agenda, so maybe we need to bring it back.
But I would like to meet
Okay.
with you,
Can we
something to discuss that, because there's a little bit more to it than
Okay.
just draining it.
Do you think it'd be better in a workshop type of...
A workshop or a meeting, it won't take
At the
long
next
to
city
explain
meeting?
it.
Can you have it ready for the
Yes.
next city meeting?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so that we can address that too if we're coming upon that funding quickly so that we are able to trigger them as well.
What this one is to have it bid out the same time you bid out your police station.
Absolutely.
Before the end of the year. That's what our goal
Before-
is.
so-
Obviously, here we got some easements we need to take care of.
On which one? On, we have easements to take care of?
We'll have to, we need to
On
cross
the-
canal for one thing, and then get an easement from the canal guys. And I don't think it's an issue, but it's a process. Or a farmer.
I see. Very good. And I guess, Chief, as far as, will you be able to tell us on that section, you know for sure that there'll be no forfeiture money available?
Yes, Mayor, that's correct. I think that's the talk, when we started talking about this, that we were going to be looking at probably trying to help out the city as to, with the asset forfeiture funds, but it's not going to be allowed. We did get another check this past week for $247,000, but, you know, it's that's state forfeiture. So that's something also that we're going to be able to utilize, and as we move forward, we're getting some more monies. And the progress with the architect and Mr. Cruz, I think that it's an immediacy for us as well, and I think that we're moving forward on that.
Let me ask you, if we were to get the design from the architects as far as the infrastructure, we're getting ready to look at this for the funding purposes November. would we be able to do that as, and would it be more efficient or economical if we did it as a package for what is going to be needed for the public safety building and that line with the same company?
I wouldn't think so, because it's two different companies.
Okay.
The construction company builds a building, so all he's gonna do
So the
is
construction company would have to do the infrastructure, we can't do
Right.
the infrastructure
We'll,
separately?
we do it separately. It
Okay.
would be better to do it separately, because this is specialized compared to a guy who's gonna do a building. So all he would do is sub it out and put a cost to it. No, it would be better if we separate 'em.
Okay.
And that way you don't have people on top of people, you know, you just separate it, be better. I think we'll get a better price anyway. We'll get more bidders that way either, also,
Is that by the,
by doing it separately.
okay. All right. Are there any questions?
Just wanted to talk, I know that there was some work being done out there today, Mike, at Las Flores. We picked up all the brush, which I think is helpful, but what about on the vacuuming of the lines? From end to end? Good. Great, good job. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for doing that, appreciate it.
Mayor Pro Tem, just to add, that we're doing the same thing for Breches, correct, Mike? And, I mean, yeah, we're going to do the same, yeah. Okay.
I was gonna ask a question, but it's, yeah.
Thank you. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved?
Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Under B, consider selecting Cruz Hogan Consultants as the engineer for the drainage project for Paseo de las Flores, Phase 1, Phase 2, and for the proposed police building substation, authorizing the interim city manager to negotiate a professional service contract with Hogan Consultants for necessary scope of work. Chief?
Yes, Mayor, this is just approving the item A, I believe, Gilbert.
I apologize.
That's, item B is just to approve item A, correct?
Yes, just to announce or to make a motion to select Cruz Hogan, if that's what the desire of the commission, Mayor.
Okay, so is there a amount that we have to go out for bids?
No, not for professional services. 2254 of the government code indicates that you don't go out for bids for your engineer, Mayor.
Don't go out for bids?
You do not go out for bids under the
Well,
professional.
not bids, but proposal
Request
for
for proposals.
qualifications.
Request for qualifications. You can do it that way. I spoke with Ms. Gonzalez, and the city commission has gone either way. You've either gone out for requests for qualifications for engineer for projects such as this nature, or you select Cruz Hogan's to do it. And I believe the reason, and I didn't go over this with Ms. Gonzalez, but I believe the reason that you have done that in the past is because you initially, the way you chose Cruz Hogan in the past is you went out for requests for qualifications when you initially, I'm assuming, obtained him, and his scope of services or his contract currently with the city allows him to do this, to do this type of work.
I think we had spoken in the past, and I think we really have to consider a rotation. We had once spoken of putting several engineer firms in a rotation or in a selection so that we are spreading the work. Because the way I'm reading this, we're asking him to do both projects in one motion, correct?
Correct.
To do the design for the police station and do the design for Las Flores.
Correct.
I don't think that's the case. It's one
Not the police
project.
station, yeah.
It is one project, but I guess whenever we were discussing this agenda item, just to be clear, we put on there the proposed police station, and maybe I should not have put that on there, but I just wanted to make sure that we were transparent. We had it all on the agenda because we were talking about Las Flores subdivision. Whenever I spoke to Mr. Cantu and Mr. Ramirez, they were saying this is what we want. We want to make sure that we take care of the subdivision Las Flores, and also because of the issues that came up with the architect in the meeting with the chief, we need to make sure we do this Las Flores and that we take care of the future site of the police station. So I went ahead and put the substation on there, and I guess I put that incorrectly.
Correct, so it's just Las Flores.
It's the Las Flores that will take care of the property for the substation.
It basically, Mayor, because Las Flores needs the help, I mean, we really get to kill two birds with one stone. Once we get to take care of Las Flores, they'll be coming in the future and able just to tie in to the work that's been done specifically for Las Flores.
Right, I understand.
Yes, ma'am.
But I guess, as we're approving it, we're not approving it for that. We're just gonna approve it for Las Flores, because he's saying that the design and the infrastructure is going to be, you just finished saying would be from,
Through Las Flores, through this property.
no, because you said that the design for or the infrastructure for the substation or police station will be with the architects and
Oh,
whoever
yeah, the
there.
parking lots and all that, yes. He has his own engineer for that. We'll have the line there with a manhole and they tie into it.
Right, which is not what we're doing here.
No, not
Okay.
that.
And I still want, for us to consider having different engineering firms to select. And then as we negotiate, I'd like to be able to negotiate that fee that you typically have. I know we've negotiated with the architect company. I think that's something that the chief would be involved with. So I'd like to be able to have consideration for that, because that's a part of that. But I really think we need to. We can't be just using the same architect, engineers all the time. I think we need to give others opportunity as well.
Well, and I think moving forward, that's something that this commission can consider, but I think that the urgency of this project calls for action today. I think that if we were to do an RFQ process, it would take at least 2 months. And if we were to wait 2 months to select an engineer, then we're talking about not doing this project until next summer. And I think that the urgency of this project calls for us to take action today. And as we move forward, or as this commission moves forward, you know, that what you're recommending is something that you all can discuss and definitely take action on. I don't disagree with that. The only thing is that I do think we need to take action on this today because of the urgency of it. We were in almost waist-high water for several hours. There was water getting into people's homes. We mobilized, 3 pump trucks that pumped for almost 6 hours just to get this water down. I don't think we can wait. We need to be ready to go as soon as possible, and because of that, I think we need to take action to select Cruz Hogan today. And so I'm going to make a motion to that effect, that we authorize the interim city manager to negotiate a professional services contract with Cruz Hogan for the necessary scope of work.
Is there a second?
Second.
And I just want to make a comment. I know that that's exactly true. I'd like to be able to get the quick one too with Las Brechas, so that they don't wait another 20 years like these folks have waited 20 years to get to this.
Absolutely.
From the past administrations. All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item C, consider preliminary and final plat approval of the BT number 1 subdivision being 1.14 acre tract of land out of Lot 3 Night subdivision located at the southeast corner of Veterans Boulevard and First Street as requested by R. Gutierrez Engineering Corporation. Mr. Cervantes,
Yes,
is this what we're looking at?
This is a subdivision for the zoning that was approved earlier today. Like Mr. Gutierrez mentioned, 3 lots are proposed. One of them will have a restaurant. There are some variances that are being requested. The first variance is that we'll only dedicate 10 feet of additional right-of-way along Veterans Boulevard instead of the 20 feet required as per the Hidalgo County Thoroughfare Plan. Also, he's requesting a variance to have to dedicate the 15-foot utility easement along the south side and the east side of the subdivision to allow the project to happen.
That's a lot of variance.
The property is a long and narrow property, so it's a little problematic. So they really need the variances to fit the buildings and the parking and the landscaping.
Were there any alleyways in these properties between business and the building that was next to it going south on I Road?
This project is not proposing any alleyways.
Okay.
And do you want to show
The property right next to it, there was a structure there before you get to the gym? Is that structure an abandoned structure? No. It's immediately to the south of it.
There is just south of this property, there is a house.
Right.
That is kind of in the east end of the property, and he has like a third road. But there's no alleys next to this property.
They'll be building a wall.
Yes, one of the
So abutting the
subdivision
residence-
requirements is an opaque, 8-foot opaque buffer. So that will be a requirement when the buildings take place. That opaque buffer along the south side and the east side to separate the commercial from the residential.
Are there any questions? There are no questions. Is there a motion for approval?
Motion to approve as presented?
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Under the consent agenda, there are the minutes for May 19th, a special called meeting, May 26th, a regular meeting. Are there any of those that need to be pulled? If not, is there a motion for approval?
So moved?
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. We will now enter executive session under the Texas Open Meeting Act, Chapter 551, Subchapter D, exceptions to requirements that the meeting be open, the Texas Government Code 551.074, personnel matters, and Texas Government Code 551.071. Consult with attorney to deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer, employee, city manager position applicants, and B, the consultation with attorney to seek his advice as it relates to a threatened or contemplated litigation against and or in behalf of the city of San Juan. We will enter now at 6:53.